Hello everyone, Ron and David here, coming to you from our website, astrologynewsreport.com.
Now we look at the upcoming planetary patterns and predictions. What's in store in the heavens for November 3rd to November 10th and beyond?
Today, Sunday, November 3rd, is the day of the total solar eclipse.
In astrology, eclipses fall into the special events category. On average, there are only 4 eclipses in a year, 2 lunar and 2 solar. And most of the eclipses are partial, meaning that the sun or moon is not completely covered by the shadow. As for effects, a total eclipse, whether moon or sun, is much more likely to produce events on Earth.
This eclipse occurred at 17 degrees Libra. This point in the zodiac is now sensitized to any subsequent interaction with another planet. That is, if some planet transits through 17 degrees Libra or opposite at 17 degrees Aries.
The eclipse degree becomes a pothole in the zodiac.
You get the credit for coming up with that metaphor, David. And yes, that is an apt way of expressing it. Astrologers have noticed that an event is more likely to occur after an eclipse when a planet is going through the eclipse point.
Well, looking at the chart, I see that Mercury is not far away.
Yes, after it ends its retrograde period and goes back to normal forward motion, Mercury will be coming through 17 degrees Libra on November 21st to 22nd. It's likely that there will be some Mercury-related event around that time.
Yes, and Mercury is not a vicious malefic, so we're pretty much looking at a meteor-related event or something having to do with travel or equipment breakdowns or some other one of Mercury's significations.
Yeah.
And in any case, we'll keep watch on that for later in November.
Okay. Jupiter begins a retrograde period on Thursday, November 7th. Jupiter is at 26 degrees Gemini, and over the next 4 months, it will back up to 16 degrees in that sign. Because of the arrangement of orbits in the solar system, planets are at their closest to the Earth when they are retrograde, and therefore bright in the heavens and strong. But since a retrograde planet is appearing to go backwards, it is not behaving normally in terms of astrology. Therefore, its significations will manifest differently.
Jupiter is considered the great benefic in Vedic astrology, so if retrograde planets are strong, that should be a good thing. But, as always, the question is, good for what? In the case of retrograde planets, what seems to happen is that the material significations of the planet do not manifest so clearly. So, since Jupiter is the planet of prosperity and wealth, there could be some holdup in that department. On the other hand, the non-material significations do better. Jupiter gives wisdom. You might think humans will operate more wisely when Jupiter is retrograde, right?
Yeah, let's hope so. Another signification of Jupiter is that it is the planet of opportunity. When Jupiter is retracing its steps in the zodiac, it's a good time to check back in with opportunities that did not initially pan out. And since this retrogradation of Jupiter is happening in the supremely dualistic Vata air sign Gemini, we ought to hear plenty of talk and debate about things related to the Jovian gas giant. Let's hope the bloviating is kept to a minimum. All right.
That's one angle, for sure.
Yeah, that's one angle. Okay. All right. Mercury will end its retrograde period on Sunday, November 10th. The planet of rational thinking, communications, media, equipment, everyday activities, and so on will return to normal forward motion in the zodiac. The significations of Mercury slowly return to normal. It takes several days for the planet to, so to speak, get back up to speed. And so some of the retrograde effects can still linger for another week.
You mean a return to a state somewhat closer to rational thinking? I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, right. Also, things that have been held up for the past 3 weeks should begin to see some progress because Mercury is about making decisions. I'm thinking the Obamacare website will become more usable, since that is a quintessential Mercury retrograde kind of thing.
Here's an interesting combination. What do you make of this, Ron? Venus will be exactly conjunct the USA ascendant on Wednesday, November 6th. As it happens, the moon will be there as well. The exact conjunction will be at 7:30 p.m. Washington, D.C. time. By coincidence, Saturn and the Sun will also be exactly conjunct at 20 degrees of Libra. Saturn will be totally combust the Sun, and in the USA 11th house, the House of Congress. Is this important? What kind of effects could this manifest?
Well, all right, I'll take a stab at interpreting this. Okay, so Venus is now in Sagittarius, which is the ascendant of the USA chart. Venus is the planet of agreement and harmony, and therefore in the first house of the USA chart, and that's usually favorable. So the USA may go on a charm offensive. But Saturn, combust the Sun, is the planet of responsibility combined with the planet of power. So maybe the USA owns up to some of its recent poor behavior.
We shall see how that works out.
Right.
Until next week.
Okay, until then.